Hey, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about my latest tier list. And if you haven't noticed, I changed up my tier list quite a bit. It looks completely different. It took a good amount of time. And if you see any mistakes on this tier list, please let me know, because moving them around and doing a bunch of edits, there is a chance that I may have deleted something or I have something in the wrong place. And before we go any further, if you watched my last video about the Avengers number 47, I did make a mistake on there. So whenever I read the tweets for the artists that were actually coming out for these two comic books for the week, I accidentally swapped or got them mixed up as far as which artist did what. So I said that Will Sliney was the artist that did the Avengers 47. That's actually not the case. Will Sliney is actually doing the one that's coming out for Amazing Spider-Man number 3, and Felipe Massafera was the one that did Avengers 47. So now that I got that out the way and cleared the air, I do apologize. That was my mistake. I wish I would have caught that before I even posted that video. So let's go into this tier list. So for the comic that is being added to VeVe, we have the Amazing Spider-Man number 3. This is going to introduce Dr. Otto Octavius, as most people know him as Dr. Octopus. So I'm not going to really go into too many details with this comic because most of us know who Dr. Octopus is. Just know that this is a high demand comic. The price that I have listed on here, you can see the side note, that's for the 9.6 grade. I could not find a 9.8. Sometimes I can find the 9.8s, but on this case I could not find the 9.8. There's only like 2 of them listed or that are known out there in the world, so I guess they just haven't been listed. And if they have been listed, maybe it's a private auction and just can't find it on the internet right now. But if you do know the price for 9.8, please let me know and please provide a source. So let's talk about this tier list. So I came up with the Diamond Club. To me, the Diamond Club pretty much just implies that those are comics that I believe you should just hold long term. Like, even if the prices go up, I think the only time you should maybe sell those comics would be, 1, if you just need the money, or 2, the price is so high that it is a life-changing event. Then I completely get it. But for the most part, I think these are long-term hold comics. Doesn't matter if the market goes up and down. I think they should be in your collection. That's just my opinion. And going down to the A-list, for the most part, I think it's mostly the same. I can't think of trying to think if I added anything new to this A-list. I don't believe I did. Now, what I did do, I did take some of the comics out of the A-list, like, for instance, Thor number 337. So you're probably wondering why Thor 337 or Hitmonkey, maybe even Powers of X are, not where some people believe it. Because if you go on Twitter and you see everybody's top 10 comics, a lot of times you might see those on there. Now, what I'm judging them by is all rarities. I'm also judging them by market cap, and I just don't want to. It just felt wrong just having them, like, for instance, like a Thor 337. It felt wrong having that up in the A tier. If you look at the comics up there, those are all outstanding comics. Those are great superheroes or a villain, but it just doesn't fit, in my opinion. So doesn't mean these comics are not comics you should go after, because what they have in their benefit is scarcity. They have scarcity on their side. So these comics can still hold their price. They can probably compete with these A-tier comics. So I just want to make sure you understand that. I'm not saying that these comics suck. Just saying that it just didn't feel right having them up on the top of the list to me. So with that being said, let's go to the B tier. Let's check out anything different. So I did increase the Tales of Suspense number 57. So this comic is a pretty expensive comic. Hawkeye is definitely not my favorite, And I know a lot of people don't really care about Hawkeye. It kind of showed when he was introduced to VeVe. With that being said, though, I think it's still a comic that you probably should get your hands on, especially right now. It's fairly cheap, so even if the market does swing some, the prices, at least currently for the Secret Rare, I think we're somewhere in the 600s. I mean, I can't see them swinging that much lower. Maybe, just say we have a gem squeeze, maybe they get down to 450 or something. But right now, I just feel like they're actually not in a bad spot. So, anyways, I put it up in the B tier, and some of these icons. I know I'm kind of going all over the place with this tier list because there's a lot that has changed. But there are icons next to each one of these comics, if it does apply for the comic. So the legend for it is over there to the right. I have so far 4 different icons for them, and I explain, what each icon means. So I did this just to kind of clear up some of the space because it was getting to a point where there was a lot on the comic, and you could barely even see the cover anymore. So I decided to do like these little icons just to kind of make it easier for people to see. Let's see, anything else on this B tier? So I think that's all about the same from my last. I want to say the Amazing Spider-Man number 361 was in the B tier. If it wasn't, then maybe I had it in C tier, but I do have it up there because the demand is very high for the comic. If you go check out the prices for a lot of the rarities, you will notice that they are pretty competitive with the A-listers or B-listers. So for now, I decided to put it in the B list. If it was in the C list, I can't recall offhand. I do feel like I had it in the C list at one point or previously before this tier list. Let's go to the C list. So the C list. This is where we put down Thor 337. It's in the C list. Your Avengers 47, still a C lister. The X-Men 129. I'm trying to remember where I had that. I'm pretty sure I had that in the C list as well. So all those should be about the same. Now, looking at the D list, we have the Thanos number 13. I think I may have had that one a C list and have it at a D list. So that doesn't mean it got demoted. It just seemed more fitting with those comics all side by side. I was thinking it kind of belongs with them, so I felt like it kind of belonged with the Web of Spider-Man 118, Hit Monkey, Avengers 80, and the What If Spider-Man, and then even the Ultimate Spider-Man. So I just thought those comics kind of related with each other as far as prices go and the demand on the market price I was checking out. Now also note though that the What If Spider-Man, I believe I demoted that one. I think I had that one maybe higher. It may have been a C-lister or even a B-lister. I can't remember where I had that one at, but I put it down to the D list. So just remember though that the Secret Rare is probably going to have a higher price than a lot of these D-listers because, 2 things. One, it's an older comic. People like older comics. So even though the price value physically isn't really anything to, go crazy about, the scarcity, I guess, or the low editions for its Secret Rare will help it. So just realize that just because it's in D list does not mean there's no demand for it. And also note that, I have these comics. So it's not like I don't have, I have every one of them. I'm not even sure why I said I think. I have every one of them. And I have different rarities of each one. So just because I put them in the D list doesn't mean there's no demand for them. So if you can afford them, or say that is all you can afford, you can only afford the D's and the E's, feel free to get them. I mean, I don't see any issue with them. There's still going to be a demand out there. I mean, there's people that are just huge Thanos fans, and so just say there's only 3 different Thanos comics out next year. That's it. Well, that means most likely those people that are huge fans are probably going to have all 3. So even if it's a D-lister, they're still going to grab one. Same goes for all the rest of them. And a little side note, Red Wolf, the Avengers number 80, I'm still believing that one is going to be part of the MCU. So hear me out on this. So most of these comics are not random. They didn't just come out with these comics out here on VeVe just at a random, selection. That's definitely not the case. So for me, out of all the Avengers comics, they picked the Red Wolf. There's been rumors floating around about the Red Wolf that's going to be part of the MCU. So I still have this hunch that that one is going to be part of the MCU. We might see a TV show or something out of it, or maybe he'll just be a small part in maybe one of the movies, or maybe he'll have his own actual standalone movie. So don't sleep on that comic. I just want to throw that out there because the prices are fairly cheap on that one too for secret rares, and the other ones too, the other rarities. What else do we have? So coming down to the E tier, I think everything's about the same. The only thing I think I added to it was the Powers of X. Nothing against that comic. That secret rare should still be competitive with the A's and B tier comics. It's just the actual other rarities for it. I just don't see a whole lot of value into them right now. Now, with that being said, there's rumors floating around that the new X-Men coming out, that's, the one that Disney owns now, is going to be maybe related with the Powers of X, is some of the rumors that have been floating around. So that comic might actually become more valuable down the road. But just, I don't know, that's about all I have for that one though. So I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, I also added everybody's first appearance, like at least the major ones. Now there's more, some of these comics have more first appearances to them, but I figured I would just keep it simple and just talk about like the main people that are main characters that people know about. So that's what all the names are. I even put on some of them, which Earth they're part of, so you can kind of figure out, which universe that we're talking about, because there's different Peter Parkers. So like the Peter Parker down there for the Ultimate Spider-Man is Peter Parker from Earth 1610, and then the one we know about is usually from 616. I just want to make sure the people that don't read a whole lot of comics understand that these are different Peter Parkers, or these are different Miles Morales. That one's from the Earth 1610. I'm looking around, trying to see anything else. Let me check my notes on here. So yeah, the Spider-Man note is pretty much implying that I've just noticed that people love Spider-Man, and he seems to get a boost when it comes to being placed on VeVe. So that's the reason why I like the Ultimate Spider-Man has the fire logo next to him. It's because there's just a high demand for the Spider-Man comics. Same goes for like that Carnage that I was explaining earlier. Just a very high demand because it's Spider-Man related, and a lot of people like Carnage / Venom. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, and then the prices that I got on here, that was the other thing I added. So I had all the physical prices on here, and all these physical prices on here are not like set in stone. So one, they're fair market value, and they're only the fair market value that I could find. So sometimes there's like 9.8s or a 9.6. Just say there's only like 4 or 5 of them out there, but they haven't been sold. Well, sometimes there's not a fair market value for those. So what I have to do is usually go down to whatever the next best is, and then get that fair market value and then put them on here. So if you see some, so for instance, I want to say it's the Amazing Spider-Man #1, and I feel like maybe, I don't know, there's a couple out there that I've seen fair market value for, and they're like, fairly low, but the comic itself, like you go and see actual sales for the higher graded one, that you'll see a much higher price. So just throwing an example out doesn't mean this is it, but just say that Daredevil says 140,000. Maybe that's just for the lower grade one, but in reality there might have been a secret auction or something out there that you'll catch a newsletter out, and it's sold for $500,000. So don't go by these prices like they're set in stone. Just make sure you understand that it's just the best fair market value that I was able to obtain. If you see any fair market values for some of these comics that are much higher, and I'm talking about actual fair market value where they've sold more than one time. I'm not talking about maybe one sell on eBay or one listing on eBay and it hasn't even sold. I'm not talking about that. I mean, anybody can set a price on there. I mean, you see it on VeVe. There's people that sell their comics for $3 million on here already, but doesn't mean it's going to sell for $3 million. I think that's about it though. As always, thank you for watching.